All right, chapter 2 review. So this is the one you're going to want to use, either the cards on your desk or the chart on your cheat card. But we're looking for those magic numbers. Okay. Number 1 is a square root. Remember, that's a little 2 here. Number 3 is a cube root. So when you're looking at the chart, you want to look for number 1 on the row that's squared, and number 2, you're looking for the cube row. All right, this is what we're dealing with numbers. And also pay attention. Remember, when you already have stuff out here, you're going to be multiplying by whatever comes out. So be careful with that. Most common mistake is to forget that 5's there. So we'll talk about that. So 72, we're looking for what magic number, perfect square number, goes into 72. And we're looking for the biggest one. Okay? So, a lot of people go, oh, 9 times 8. And that's true. 9 times 8 is 72. But the 8 has a 4 still trapped inside, which is a perfect square, which means more work. So we're looking for the biggest number, which is 36 times 2. I like to put the square root first, just personal preference, because it's closer to the door coming out. If you need to remember to put square roots on these, go ahead. All right? So the 36, square root of 36 is 6. But remember, it's going to be multiplied by this 5. So 6 times 5 is 30. I write the square root over here and just put that 2 here so I don't forget it. All right? If there's extra space on the left side, who cares? Now, with the exponents, the letters is really easy. We're just going to divide 4 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. But remember, we already had 3 x cubed out here. So 3 plus 2 that's coming out is going to be x to the 5th. And then 11 divided by 2 is 5. We already had 2 out there, so 5 plus 2 is 7. All right? But remember, 5 times 2 is 10. It's leaving a y left over inside. Number 14. Number 2 has a 14 out there. So 88. Now, remember, we're looking for a cubic number, a perfect cube that goes into 88. Well, that would be 8 times 11. Okay? The cube root of 8 is 2. Times 14 is going to be 28. I write the cube root over here. Don't forget that 3. The 2 is not that important here because it's understood, but on this one you have to write the 3. The 11 is stuck inside. Okay? Now we're going to divide 11 by 3. Well, 3 times 3 is 9, which is going to leave 2 inside. And we had 6 out here. We're bringing out 3. 6 plus 3 is 9. And that's our answer. Right. We're going to add here on number 3, but there's nothing to add yet. These need to be simplified. So we're going to do what we just did in 1 and 2. This is 4 times 2. And this one's going to be 4 times 6. Okay? Remember, there's a 2 out here. So the square root of 4 is 2. Times that 2 is 4. The 2 is stuck inside. This is a 2 here. 5 divided by 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. That means 1 is going to be stuck inside. Plus, the square root of 4 is 2. Times this 6 is 12. There's already an x to the 1 out here. This is a square root again. 3 divided by 2 is 1. So we're bringing out an x, but we already had an x. So that's going to be x squared. The 6 is stuck inside with 1x. And at this point, even though we broke it down, they still will not add together because these are different. So if they were both square root of 2x, we could add them. If they were both square root of 6x, we could add them. But we're done. We stop. We don't write 8x, square root of 8x. You can't combine them. You stop. We're done. All right. Number 4, we're going to multiply first. So outside times outside, inside times inside. So 4 times 3 is 12. X squared times x to the 1 is x to the 3, x cubed. In the radical, we have 8 times 10, which is 80. X to the 5, x to the 1 gives me x to the 6. And remember, this is a square root problem when there's nothing there. It's assumed square root. Now the 80 is going to break down. Now, it's a square root, so we're not going to use 8. That was for the cube root. We're looking for the biggest number that goes into 80, and that's 16 times 5. The square root of 16 is 4, but we got to multiply by this 12. So that's 48. I'm going to put my square root here. The 5 is stuck inside. 6 divided by 2 is 3, but I already had 3 out here, so that's going to be 6 now. All the x's came out, so I'm done. All right. Lots to do here. These are cube roots, notice. 3, 3, 3. Okay? So we're looking for perfect cube numbers, of which 27 is actually a perfect cube. So the cube root of 27 is 3. Times this 3 is 9. And we only have one x inside, so we cannot bring that out. Don't forget this little 3. That's x right there. All right? Plus 64. Also a perfect cube. So the 4 is going to come out. There was a 1 here, so 1 times 4 is 4. X cubed, sorry, just the x is right there. And then the x squared, there's not enough x's to come out, so it's stuck inside. Minus the cube root of 8 is 2, times the 3 is 6. Now, we finally have enough here. 5 divided by 3 is 2. Sorry, my bad. 5 divided by 3 is 1. So 1x there. Okay? And that's going to leave on the inside 2. Now, notice, these are the same. 4x and 6x, and x squared and x squared. So we can combine them. So the 9 cube root, oh, I forgot my cubes here. That was silly of me. 9 cube root of x. 4 minus 6 is negative 2 x cube root of x squared. Final answer. All right, number 6. We have a radical on the bottom. We don't want a radical on the bottom, so we need to multiply by radical 3 over radical 3. On the top, that's simply 5 radical 3. You write it as you read it. On the bottom, we get radical 9 or just 3. Remember, a radical times itself, the radical disappears. We're done. We cannot cancel the 3's. This is not 3. It's the square root of 3. It's 1 point something. So it will not cancel with a 3. Okay? You can cancel radicals over radicals. So, for example, radical 12 over radical 3 is simply radical 4. Just like 12 over 3 is simply 4. Okay? But you cannot cancel a 3 into a radical 3. A lot of people will do that. Can't do it. 7, we also need to rationalize, but it is a binomial on the bottom. So we cannot multiply by radical 2 over radical 2, or we'll play whack-a-mole, in which the radical will just bounce back and forth left and right. We need to do the 4 plus radical 2 right here. Okay? We write the same thing, but opposite sign. Now, on the top, we're going to have to do a little work. We're going to have to FOIL this. Double distribute. So 3 times 4 is 12. Radical 6 times radical 2 is 2 times 6 is 12. Radical 12. Outside, we get 3 radical 2. Inside, we get 4 radical 6. Let me clean that up. Didn't give myself enough room. Okay. Over, now here we just have to do first and last. So 4 times 4 is 16 minus 2. Remember, you always have a subtraction on the bottom because you're doing plus times minus, and a radical times itself is just whatever's underneath it. So just 2. So let's clean it up. Nothing on the top will join together. So we just write 12 again, plus 3 radical 2, plus 4 radical 6, plus, now in this one, this will break down to 4 times 3. So the square root of 4 is 2, and this is radical 3 right here. Over 16 minus 2 is 14. Now notice, we have a 12, a 4, and a 2, which are all even, but the 3 is not. So we can't go any further. We cannot do any canceling. But if this was, say, a 6, we could reduce all the even numbers. But we can't pick and choose. So we can't reduce the 12, the 4, and the 2 and forget the 3. So we're done. Number 8, we're just multiplying. We're just sending it through as if it was a 3. But in this case, we can get 4 radical 3 plus 6 times 3 is 18. So radical 6 times radical 3 is radical 18. But we're not done yet because this breaks down to 9 times 2. 9 is a perfect square. So we get 4 radical 3 plus 3 radical 2, because this is really square root. And we stop. Cannot go any further. Right. Convert each into exponential form. Okay? So the 3x, remember, it's all under the radical, so we put in parentheses. And then it's simply 7 over 4. And here, it's x, and it's 5 over 3. Remember, the cheat for this is, we all know that square root of x equals x to the 1/2. But this is a good thing to put on your cheat card. Because remember, it tells us this is a 1, we know this is a 2. This number is the numerator, and this number is the denominator. This is a little cheat to help you get the order on these correct. All right? So, on this, the 6x is under the radical. All right? Put in parentheses. The top number goes here, and the bottom number goes here. Now, notice the 5/2 is only attached to the x. So the most common wrong answer is to do this. The 8 is on the outside. The x is on the inside. The 5 goes here, and the 2 goes here. All right. Evaluate each. No decimals. You can just type this in your calculator. Okay? Let the calculator help you. 100 to the power of 3 divided by 2. It's 1,000. Or if you just think about it, the square root of 100 is 10, and 10 cubed is 1,000. Okay? Cube root of 216. You can look at that on your card. Whoops. Not what I wanted. Okay? Or math key, cube root is number 4, 216 is 6. So that's 6 squared, which is 36. But remember, you could also just put in 216. We know how to convert this to the 2/3. 2 divided by 3. 36. Negative 27 to the 2/3. Let the calculator help you. So I'm going to put this in parentheses so that we don't have any errors with it. 27. And it was to the 2/3. So to the power of 2 divided by 3. 9. Okay? Or again, if you're just using the card, the cube root of negative 27 is negative 3 squared, which is 9. Okay, simplify. So we're sending the 1/2 in. Remember, this is the 1. So we're sending the 1/2 in here, here, and here. So we're going to get 25 to the 1/2, which is also known as the square root of 25. So that's just going to be 5. 1/2 times 4, well, that's just 2. And 1/2 times 2/3, it might help you here to do this and see that the 2's cancel. So that's y to the 1/3. And we're done. Okay? Here, we're multiplying. So 2 times 6 is simply 12. But when we do this, 1/2 and 2/3, we keep the base and add the exponents. But we can't add 1/2 plus 2/3. We need to find a common denominator, which is 6. 2 times 3, 1 times 3. 3 times 2, 2 times 2. So that gives us x to the 7/6. Here, same thing, except we're subtracting. So first off, 2 over 8 is 1 over 4. Okay? It's not 4. Okay? And then 1/2 and 1/3. So 1/2, 1/3. Again, 6. 2 times 3, 1 times 3. 3 times 2, 1 times 2. But remember, we're subtracting because it's a fraction. 3 minus 2 is 1/6. So that's x to the 1/6 on the top. All right, here. First thing we need to do is subtract 8 from both sides. So that gives me the cube root of 2x plus 7 equals negative 4. The way we undo a cube root is to cube both sides. That gets rid of this, and that just gives me 2x plus 7 equal to negative 64. And now we're back to an Algebra 1 problem. We're going to subtract 7 and get negative 71. Divide by 2. It's okay. We have a negative answer, and it's also a decimal. Now, we should go back and plug this in and make sure it works. So 2 times negative 35.5 is negative 71. Negative 71 plus 7 is negative 64. The cube root of negative 64 is negative 4. And negative 4 plus 8 is 4. Check. Now, I did that in my head, but you can also go back and plug that in and use a calculator. This one's really easy. They're both square roots, so all we simply do is square both sides. Radicals go away, and we're left with 6x minus 23 equal to 19 plus 2x. These are really the simplest problems. If they are both cube roots, we'd cube both sides and just get rid of the radicals. And now I'm going to subtract 2x and get 4x. I'm going to add 23. and get 42. And when I divide by 4, again I get a decimal, but that's okay. 10.5. Now I'm going to plug 10.5 into both of them and do the math. Okay? And I will find out that it works out and I get a true statement. No extraneous answers yet. All right, on this one I need to add 7 first. Remember, this is the same thing as 2 times the square root of x. It doesn't matter how you look at it, but the 2 is a coefficient. So we're going to add 7. Don't divide by 2 first. You've got to get the radical by itself, or the x by itself. So square root of x, or x to the 1/2, doesn't matter, equals 10. Divide by 2. So that's going to be square root of x equals 5, or x to the 1/2 equals 5. Doesn't matter how you write it. Then I squared both sides and get x equals 25. Or in this case, I would square both sides this way. Same answer. Plug that back in. Okay. So that's going to be 5 times 2 is 10, minus 7 is 3. Check. Same thing here. Add 9 to both sides. Do not divide by 4. 23 plus 9 is 32. Divide by 4, 8. Square both sides. X equals 64. Plug that back in. Square root of 64 is 8. Times 4 is 32. Minus 9 is 23. Check. And that's it.